The Abyss is an upcoming ICO which aims to become the in-app purchase payment provider for browser games and MMOs. We'll look at their white paper a little bit in a moment. It's technically launched on the Ethereum platform as an ERC20 token. ERC20 is a standard that most ICOs use to launch. It basically just means that it's a token that can be traded on an exchange. 70% rev share for any sales in the game go to the game developer. And that's pretty industry standard. You'd get the same rate on Steam. That percent is after any payment processor fees or taxes are removed. Their main feature that they're focusing on is a multi-level referral program. We're going to take a closer look at that. Okay. So this diagram here is showing an example scenario where a few referrals have happened. And we're going to trace back one specific transaction. We're going to look specifically at the whale, the largest transaction on the board, because of course that's the one that's most interesting. 200 grand from the whale here going to game B. Now, these are large numbers, and I think they're trying to exaggerate the point a little bit. But in mobile games and presumably with free-to-play web games as well, those games, most people, the vast majority of people, aren't going to spend anything at all. But occasionally there is what in the industry we refer to as whales, which spend an incredible amount on the game. Often those whales are what keep the game afloat, what keep the business going. So it's a bit of an extreme example, but it's something that could actually happen. So 200 grand going to game B, and the first referral payout that we'll look at is this green line up here, $4,000 going to game A. This is where the chain of referrals begins. So this one's going to be a few steps back, a few steps removed from the whale. Game A, so we're saying the developer of Game A is going to get this $4,000. And the reason for that is Game A is what brought Ron into the network. So that acts as the first referral. Ron invited Hermione, and then Hermione invited the whale, and it's the whale making the purchase. So that link back through her, through Ron, back to Game A is why Game A is getting paid. Now, Ron gets the same payout as Game A in this example here, because he's also a couple steps removed from the whale himself. And then Hermione, which invited the whale directly, gets $8,000 from that $200,000 transaction. Now, if you remember from before, Game B from this transaction is promised 70%, which means Game B is entitled to $140,000. And if you do the math, net, that leaves $44,000 for the Abyss. Okay, let's go back to our notes here. Pros. 70% rev share is pretty industry standard, like I mentioned. So any bonuses that you get or any benefits from the referral program is just a net gain, a net positive for any game developer. A strong referral program like this could really help to drive adoption of a platform and in turn drive awareness of a game. Couple cons. There's very little mention of the technology. I read their white paper, I searched over their site, and I understand that they aren't deep into the project yet, and they're just fundraising to get it off the ground. But there's very little mention of the technology itself, or more specifically, why blockchain was the right thing to do for this project. The timeline's a bit long. The first game, which is, they even call it a sample game on the website, I believe, is expected to launch 1 year from now, so Q4 2018. Their timeline here. So Q4 2018, the first version of the platform with a startup game package. And then their schedule continues on beyond 2020. So, is the Abyss a scam? I think with any ICO these days, this is a question that you should ask. I don't think so, but their website is very focused on the multi-level referral program, as is the white paper, and the white paper doesn't give a whole lot of attention to the technology itself.